SmackDown took place tonight in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and I have to say, I thought this was one of the better SmackDowns I've seen all year, perhaps the best. It went by like a breeze. It was only 2 hours and it was very easy to watch. Unlike most Friday nights when it's a dread to get through 3 hours, here it was actually an easy show to get through. And I thought you had some good angles, and I thought they did a very good job of building up SummerSlam. So the show started off with Nick Aldis in the ring. He would also be in the ring to end this show, but we'll get to that later on. But to start off, he officially announced that he's reinstated as the SmackDown General Manager. Then he introduced the new WWE Champion, CM Punk, who got a big pop when he came out. He says he was negotiating to go to SmackDown. He mentions championship opportunities falling out of the sky. Of course, that's what he mentioned the night after WrestleMania on Raw earlier this year. And that's exactly what happened. Then he mentions Sami Zayn. He says he'll give him a rematch. Doesn't say when. He mentions Gunther, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Royce Keys. And then he did not mention the guy who we all know he's going to be facing at SummerSlam who interrupted him, and that was Cody Rhodes. Cody came out, got a big pop, and then he challenged CM Punk to a match for the undisputed WWE Championship at SummerSlam. CM Punk shook his hand and accepted. And then Nick Aldis made the match official. So we now have one of the main events, it seems like, at SummerSlam. I don't know which night of the main event. I assume because it's Roman, he'll probably be night 2. So I think Punk and Cody is night 1. And I thought originally Brock and Oba and Hell in a Cell would main event one of the nights. Now I'm not so sure. I think they'll have a main match, maybe the co-main events on one of the nights, but I don't think that's the main event. I think Punk and Cody is a big enough match where it has to be a main event. And because it's Roman, he's always in the main event. I assume he'll be in the main event. And the Brock and Oba match might not go too long, even though it's in Hell in a Cell. So maybe it's better that it's not one of the main events. Backstage, Kathy Kelly was interviewing Jade Cargill in the Baddies. Look, all I can look at right now was watching this was Kathy Kelly in her yellow outfit. She looked great tonight, especially with the glasses. I mean, it's Kathy Kelly. It's impossible for her not to look great, but tonight, wow. Anyway, Jade was cutting a promo on her match with Alexa tonight. She was talking about taking out Alexa, and it was pretty obvious that they were going to do a big injury angle to take Alexa off TV for a while. It was pretty obvious that they were setting something up here, and they kind of did that a while ago. I think it was a month or two ago when Jade attacked Alexa and then hit the Jaded onto a chair. I think that was right before Clash in Italy, I believe. So they did a heat angle already with Jade and Alexa earlier this year, but here it seems like they're writing Alexa off for a while as Jade goes on to feud with Charlotte and have a match with her at SummerSlam. After the break, Finn Balor was out next, then we went to a break, and Tama Tonga was out with Tala Tonga. Of course, they got no reaction. We got Finn Balor and Tama Tonga. Finn got the win. Nothing much to say here. Backstage, Kathy Kelly. I mentioned she was looking great tonight. Interviewed Carmelo Hayes before his match tonight. He cut a good promo. He faces Trick Williams. R-Truth was talking to Fraxium backstage about the World Cup. Of course, that's all they have for Fraxium. They do nothing on the show. And I just think they're guys who are just not going to be well utilized on WWE on the main roster. Then the War Raiders appeared. They want their tag team title shot that nobody gives a shit about. And then they were confronted by Jimmy Uso and Jacob Fatu. They left, and then Jimmy and Jacob asked Truth where Solo was. Then Priest walked up and told him that Solo was talking to Royce Keys. So Jacob and Jimmy headed to the ring. Nick Aldis was talking to Sami Zayn on the phone, and he is having a mental health break. So no Sammy for at least a week. Gunther then confronted Nick backstage. He wanted him to make it right. He wants in on the championship match at SummerSlam. Jimmy Uso and Jacob Fatu were in the ring. they called out Solo Sikoa, but instead Royce Keys came out. He says he basically confronts Jimmy, but they're setting a thing up where him and Jacob are very close. I believe they are in real life. And Royce called Jacob his brother. He says family is defined by loyalty. It's not necessarily by blood. That's what he believed. But he's talking to a faction that's literally called the Bloodline. So it's all about blood for them. And it led to Jacob telling Jimmy he must fight Royce alone. But of course, it was a setup. After the break, they promoted The Rock's new movie. They showed some people at the premiere. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch were at the premiere. I think they showed Cody Rhodes at the premiere. Alexa Bliss and her husband were at the premiere with her kid. I think Becky had her kid there as well. So they're being very nice to Dwayne. Please, Dwayne, come WrestleMania next year. Please come back, Dwayne. Come back. Our ticket sales are plummeting. We need you, Dwayne. Anyway, we had Jimmy Uso and Royce Keys. So they had an okay match. They were brawling by the announce booth. And that's when Solo Sikoa appeared, ready to attack Jimmy Uso, hit another Samoan spike. But then Jacob Fatu ran out and he brawled with Solo. And that led to Jimmy actually pinning Royce Keys with a spear, which was a disappointing loss for Keys, losing to Jimmy Uso of all people. I guess Jimmy had to get a win because his family is going through a rough week, if you haven't heard. Anyways, what happened was it led to, like, after Jimmy pinned Keys, Jacob continues to attack Solo in the ring, and then Keys tried to stop him, but then Jacob turned on Royce Keys. And then Jacob put the chair onto Solo, went for the running hip attack. I think that's how they took out Jimmy Uso a couple years ago. I think it was Tama Tonga who took him out like that. And they're ready to destroy Solo. But then Jacob stops. He threatens him. Unless you get in line, I'm not going to stop next time. So they want Solo back in the Bloodline on Raw. They showed the Sammy footage after the Raw match when he's just cussing at Punk, calling him a motherfucker. Backstage, Kathy Kelly interviewed CM Punk. She asked him about Gunther, and then Punk walks up to Candice LeRae, who was right there. She actually confronted him as Johnny was still planking. He told him to get back in the ring. Yes, but I mean, Johnny is someone who would actually benefit from SmackDown being a 3-hour show, but maybe not. He was planking anyways. Doesn't matter. But yeah, if he was going to get on the SmackDown show, have matches, it would have been when SmackDown was 3 hours, but they chose to have him plank for 6 months, so what doesn't really make sense having him get back in the ring, unless it's an NXT or unless it's another company, which is going to happen very soon as his contract's expired. Anyways, Punk was then welcomed to SmackDown by Finn Balor. Alexa Bliss was out next with Charlotte Flair. We got a Fatal Influence video promo ahead of their match at Saturday Night's Main Events when they challenged Paige and Brie Bella for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Jade Cargill and the Baddies, Mishin and B-Fab were out next. Then we get Jade Cargill and Alexa Bliss with a massive size difference. So Jade got the heat for a while. Alexa rallied. She almost got a cool roll-up when she actually put her whole body, and Jade still kicked out because Alexa is so much smaller than her. But eventually the Baddies would distract Charlotte. They took her out, and then Jade hit the Jaded on Alexa for the win. After the match, we all knew they were going to do some angle. Jade was saying that she was going to attack Alexa, do something bad to her. So it was pretty obvious they were going to do something. What she did was she put Alexa's arm in a chair, and Mishin and B-Fab made Charlotte watch in the corner. And she, takes the chair, and she slams the chair on the mat. So it's in the ring, but it's like Alexa has a chair on her when she's face down, and then Jade swings her arm back, and it's supposed to break Alexa's arm or at least dislocate her elbow. I knew what they were doing. Alexa actually did the exact same angle when she wrestled Sasha Banks at the Great Balls of Fire show. Yes, goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire in 2017. That brings me back watching that match. Alexa and Sasha on that show actually had a really good match. I know Sasha and Alexa don't like each other, but they actually had a good match together. But they did that angle in that match early on, and I just thought, why would they waste it? It was like Alexa using it to distract Sasha and when she was a heel. And I was thinking, why don't you wait to do that in a heavy angle? Why would you give that away? And I know Alexa is just double jointed in that elbow. So 9 years later, it's been a long time, 9 years later, they finally decided to play it off by using Alexa Bliss, who has a double jointed in one elbow, and dislocating the elbow in a storyline. So Jade destroys Alexa. I think it would have been better. It would have looked better if Jade just Pillmanized her like Rhea did to Liv Morgan a few years ago. That actually looked really good. And by the way, where's Rhea Ripley? Is she even going to be on the show? I don't think she's going to be on SummerSlam. I think her injury is that bad. I guess Jade and Charlotte's a big enough women's match where they assume it can replace the fact that they don't have a WWE Women's Championship match. I think Jade and Charlotte's a big enough match to replace it, I guess. But I don't think we're getting Rhea at SummerSlam. But, yeah, Jade destroys Alexa's arm. This was a heavy heat angle, injury angle. I assume Alexa is going to take some time off. Looks like it. Looks like they're writing her character off for some time. She can be with her daughter. Her daughter's only, I think 2 years old or something. So, yeah, maybe she can be with her daughter. And I don't know if she'll come back anytime soon, but I don't think it's the end for her unless they ask her to renegotiate her contract. I do think it's the end for Bayley, by the way. I think she's out of here very soon. I don't think we'll be seeing her anymore in WWE, but I think Alexa just probably taking some time off. But it looked like an angle to get her off TV, and obviously the bigger issue is to build up to Jade and Charlotte SummerSlam, which Charlotte has a reason to want to kill Jade now, and I think she'll probably take out the baddies in response to set up the big match with Jade at SummerSlam. So backstage, Lil Yachty gave Trick Williams a custom United States Championship. Carmelo Hayes was out next. Backstage, Charlotte was helping Alexa to the doctor's office. Of course, they had Alexa crying. Trick Williams was out next, and we get Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes, and I have a lot to say here. I don't know what the fuck happened here. Oh my god. Anyways, so I got a commercial break during this match on Netflix. That kind of sucked. But then they had a lot of counters, and look, I'm going to tell you what the issue is. Trick sucks in the ring. He has everything else going for him, but he's shit in the ring. And that's going to hurt him in this company. You can't just be nothing in the ring. He's not good. I've known this about him in NXT. All last year when I watched his matches, I knew this guy is not good in the ring. He's a bad worker. It's a huge issue. He's not good. And he has a great look. He has a great entrance. He's got charisma. A lot of charisma, actually. Very good on the mic. Good promo. Has everything else, but he is not a good wrestler. And it shows here. He couldn't have a good match with Carmelo Hayes. 2 years ago, when they main evented the NXT Stand and Deliver show in Philadelphia during WrestleMania 40 weekend, he had a bad match in the main event. It wasn't good. It was a bad main event because Trick sucked. Anyway, here's what happened. On the outside, Lil Yachty got knocked down. So Carmelo's on the top rope. He's looking to hit a splash onto Trick, who's down. And then, out of all the times to fucking return, the most random return ever, Baron Corbin just attacks Carmelo Hayes. And then he attacks Trick Williams. I don't know what the hell was going on. I thought he was going to come back as like Danhausen's Frankenstein monster. Instead, it looks like we're just going to get regular Baron Corbin. He looks like he did when he was Constable Corbin or King Corbin, two of the worst gimmicks ever. Anyway, hit the end of days onto Trick and Carmelo. And he also has new theme music. They couldn't at least keep the end of days song. That's actually a really awesome theme song, even though his character sucked. His theme song was really good. I'll be your end of days. That's a good fucking song. Listen to it. But that's it. It's like, oh, okay, that's what they're doing with Corbin. I thought they'd at least bring him back with Danhausen. Maybe it's Braun Strowman who's going to be the Frankenstein monster with Danhausen. I don't know, but Baron Corbin, that's what's it. It's like, what the fuck? That's like the most random return ever. Plans had to change. They probably had something set up with Danhausen. Things fell through. Plans had to have changed. That's the only explanation here. Anyway, We saw Gunther backstage, and he was heading to the ring. After the break, Gunther came out to the ring, called Nick Aldis out. He came out, the GM did, and he says Gunther will team with Sami Zayn in a tag team match against CM Punk and Cody Rhodes at Saturday night's main event. In response, Gunther attacked Aldis. He repeatedly put the sleeper hold on him, but Aldis didn't go well. It's like if they wanted to do an angle where Gunther was just going to kill him just to get heat on the GM for attacking him, they would have had Aldis go quickly. But Aldis was like he wasn't fighting back, but like he was showing that he was a wrestler because he wasn't going out so quickly, and like they set him up to be where like he was strong, like he didn't just give in, like go out quick. He was on his knees, on his feet for a lot of it, and if it wasn't like when they did it a year ago where Gunther just choked out Pat McAfee. That was a much better angle than this was, to be honest. Here it was just okay. We all know the match is set up for SummerSlam now. It's Gunther and Nick Aldis. That's gonna happen now, and Gunther just choked him out. Whole bunch of security guards, people in the back, trainers tried to stop it. He repeatedly had him in the sleeper hold, and eventually it was Cody Rhodes who made the save right at the end as the show ended, and that was SmackDown. I thought a good show overall. I liked the angle at the end. I liked the angle at the beginning. I thought the Jade Alexa angle was good to set up the match with Charlotte. I thought that was well done. The Baron Corbin return was just so random, but overall I thought this was a good show. As we continue, and I guess the heat is churning up. It definitely felt like it. It felt like this. I mean, the ticket sales are not doing good for SummerSlam. We know that. So maybe WWE decided to turn up the heat as they continue down on the, maybe not the road. There's only a road to WrestleMania. What can you call it? I don't know. Maybe the tour to SummerSlam. Yeah, that sounds bad. I don't know. Anyways, they needed something to set up SummerSlam. I thought SmackDown tonight was actually a good show.